Hello everyone, it is good to see all of you again. So today we are going to continue our lesson from the previous video, and we are still using the book which is the blueprint 4 for our today lesson, and I hope all of you have the book with you right now. And everyone, have you finished the exercise that I asked you to do in the previous video? So the exercise is on page 16 of your book, and I hope all of you have finished doing those exercises already. Now we are going to continue to the new page, which is page 17. And everyone, on page 17 we are not going to study vocabulary anymore, because we are going to look at the language structure that the native speaker use in their conversation. And I remember all of you have already listened to that conversation. Can you tell me what was that conversation about? I think you get the right answer. The conversation was about the books or the movie. And from the previous video, I covered a few keywords for all of you. And here I wrote it down on the whiteboard, and I would like all of you to think of the definition of this word. Can you remember these keywords? If you remember these 4 or 5 keywords here, I mean, you remember all the words that you studied from the previous video. Now everyone, can you tell me what is comic book? I think you are right. Comic book refer to a book that is fun to read, and in that book there is not all picture. Okay, here let me show you the book. So here everyone, as you can see in this book, they are all word, all are later, but comic book are different from these. Comic book has picture and is color picture. There's a lot of things in that book, and you are fun to read that book. Good. Next is novel. Okay, so this is novel, different from comic book. Novel have no picture in the book at all. This is novel, everyone. So novel generally are fiction. It is not true. That's why we call it novel. In Khmer, រឿងប្រឡោមលោក very good. The next word is screen, everyone. Screen. Can you tell me what is this? Or can you point to the screen? Alright, so screen is something that in front of you, that you are watching my teaching right now. So you are watching me teaching on the screen. Good. And fiction and non-fiction. Okay, which one is true and which one is not true? Right, fiction is not true. Fiction based on here imagination. You imagine the situation and you write down the novels. How about non-fiction? Yeah, non-fiction is something true, something that you learn from your environments, from everywhere. For example, like this book. This book is Workstorming, as I showed you from the previous video. This book is about communication. And why this book is non-fiction? Because it is true in our everyday life. It show us the lesson of how to communicate with people, how to listen to people effectively. Yeah, this is non-fiction. Good. Now everyone, let's move on to the next activity, which is the main focus of our today lesson. And I think you can see there are 4 sentences on the whiteboard, and you might see all of them are different. Let's start with the first one. I prefer non-fiction book to fiction book. Okay, so they use the word prefer and to. Prefer something to something. Okay, and you will learn why they use this structure and what is the form of these structures. Next, I prefer to walk rather than run for hours. So you can see the word prefer again, but now they are not using the word to. In the sentence they use the word they use the word rather than. How about Letter C. I would prefer non-fiction book. Okay, so would prefer, they use only the word would prefer. Next, letter D. The movie is not as good as the novel. So you have the structure not as and adjective as. And you will learn how to use this structure and why you need to use this structure in your writing or in your speaking. And without any further ado, if you want to try to read the lesson before you watch the video, it is a good idea. So the lesson is on page 17 over here. So when you open your book, you will see a table right here, and this table I already summarize and make it short on the whiteboard, but it is a good idea to read this before you continue watching the video. Now you read the table already and you have some idea about what you are going to learn. So make me clarify all those points for all of you. I think you already understand those, but let me clarify and to confirm whether you understand the point or not. Okay, let's start with the first one. So the first one, we have the structure prefer and plus noun plus to and plus noun. So you use to, the verb to here to compare two nouns. Okay, next prefer verb rather than plus verb. So you can see something different here. If the thing that we want to compare is or are nouns, are function as nouns, those we use the verb to in our sentence to compare two of them. But if we want to compare actions or activities, and that activity function as a verb in our sentence, for example here, walk and run, they are verbs, so they use rather than. You cannot use to here. Okay, good. Move on to the use. So we use this structure, use prefer plus to compare two things or actions. So which one do you like most and which one you don't like? Next, we have the word would prefer. Everyone, would prefer. So the word would prefer, we used to talk about choice. Okay, so like here, when someone asks, would you like some tea? Imagine the situation, and this example is from our book. When someone asks you, would you like some tea? And say, yes, I would prefer some tea. Or you say, no, sorry, I would prefer some water. So would prefer here, we talk about choice. So my choice is non-fiction, fiction book. I would prefer non-fiction, fiction books. Good. So far so good, everyone. Okay, so can we move on? Now let's go to the last part of our lesson, which is the phrase not as plus adjective plus as. This structure has the same meaning as the word less plus adjective plus than. So to explain this point, let's look at the example over here again. You will understand clearly. The movie is not as good as. So good here is an adjective which describes the movie and the novel. Everyone. So good describes two things, movie and novel, but it has the label of it. So the movie is not as good as. So the meaning here is that the level of the movie is not good, it's lower than the novel. So when you see someone say this structure, the movie is not as good as the novel, or you are not as smart as my friend, which means you are less clever. you are not smart, right? If they use this structure. So remember the first thing that comes in the sentence, the thing that comes first in the sentence is generally mean negative. Okay, we have the word negative. The movie is not as good as the novel. So the novel is better than the movie. So you can make more sentences. For example, like say chocolate is not as sweet as honey. Okay, I hope all of you learn this structure. After you learn everyone, it is our habit, our routine that we need to practice what we have learned. And in this video, I am not going to do the exercise or cover any exercise for all of you, but I will give you one example for you to do by yourself. So in your book on page 17, there are 4 sentences or 4 questions. So I will do the first one for all of you, and the rest you are going to do it by yourself. Okay, now let me erase the whiteboard. So I erase this part. And after I clean this whiteboard, I will give you one example. And you can do it by yourself after you see this example. So in your book, okay, let's write this. Okay, this marker is not good. Let me change. Okay, this one. Okay. So they want to compare the shower. So number 1, there's you two. Compare shower to bath. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer? Okay, so now you know what to do. Compare shower to bath. Do you know the word shower? Okay, I think you know the word already, which means you take a water that fall on your body, but bath, I mean you need to take the water like this and put it on your body. So what if you see this type of exercise, you can use 3 or 4 structures. So I will give you 3 structures that you can use. So the answer, you can say I prefer shower to bath. Okay, so the word shower function as noun. That is why we use this structure. So can you change to another one? Okay, I can say I would prefer shower rather than bath. Or you can say a bath is not as good, or you can say comfortable. Make sure this part is an adjective. The bath is not as good as shower. Okay, so you can use 3 structure like this to do the other 3 exercise, but you can pick one and change it accordingly. Now everyone, this is the end of our video lesson, and I hope you get all the point. But if you cannot catch up with any specific point in this video lesson, feel free to ask your homeroom teacher. Your homeroom teacher will be in your online study group, and they are always there to help all of you. So everyone, now it's time to say goodbye and see you again in the next video.